This episode of An Unexpected Podcast is brought to you by Erica Barnes. Thank you.
Hello, friends, and welcome to An Unexpected Podcast. I'm Ez.
And I'm Lane.
And we're talking Tolkien.
We're coming to you from the Shire of America, the beautiful state of Ohio, in a little village called Homanda.
Wow, okay.
That's where home is.
I get it. I honestly had no idea what you were doing there, and I was like, oh boy, we are off to a bad start. But no, we're off to a great start.
Yeah.
Okay. This week, we're not following the lights as we cover the passage of the Marshes as a part of our journey through Middle-earth.
Yeah, that's true. We have a little table of contents today. Last week, we tried to have time for, didn't have time for a special Bywater post, just reminiscing over some of your favorite memories, all of you uppers from year one. We will get to that today.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Right out the gate here.
Yeah.
Does table of contents get us in trouble sometimes?
Don't they always?
Yeah, they do, right?
I'm gonna read 10 chapters.
Shit.
Oh, it's a short book.
Don't be looking ahead, you know.
Don't look
Sometimes
ahead.
the titles of the chapters can spoil things, you know.
They can.
So,
ooh, I just got the chills.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm back.
He's back. All right. So yeah, stay tuned for that at the end. We promise we'll do it this time.
Some quick counsel,
or we won't. We'll see.
Or we won't. Yeah. You know.
Who knows, guys? Honestly, quick counsel. How's it going, my friend?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Okay, that was quick. I guess we're
done. We're moving on.
We're moving on. No, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm in a weird place, actually. So I just lied to you guys. I'm actually not doing okay. All right. I just got done.
Well, you're kind of running on straight espresso at this point, aren't you?
How many cold brew coffees have I had today?
You said 4 or 5 before you got here.
That's my fourth. Yeah. So I got to finish that. That'll be my fourth.
You had a lot of work stuff. Catch up.
Yeah, had a lot of work stuff going on this week. Literally got behind. I think it was because I was over here not doing any of my schoolwork like I should have been. I was over here podcasting. So, anyways, no, I just got a little busy. We're back on schedule. We got a busy week next week. Actually, when you listen to this, we'll be taking off down to.
Not really.
No. We're not going.
They're going to listen to this on Sunday. We're not leaving then.
Yeah, I mean, later that week we will be.
Oh, yeah, true.
I mean, we're not taking off Sunday.
When you're listening to this on Sunday.
That's not what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're going to Texas.
We're going to Texas.
Should be
going
fun.
down to Rohan. So, yeah, it'll be fun.
It's exciting.
Looking forward to it. Very excited.
But seriously, are you okay?
Doing good.
This is weird, guys.
Doing
because
really good.
This is like Lane is beyond. He's beyond shadow right now.
If
dude.
Ezra can't figure out what's going on, he gets uncomfortable. He doesn't know what's going on inside my head right now. And
I have no clue. I have no clue whether you want to what do you want to happen here? You know,
I would like to be in the present moment. I would like to.
Don't even get me started.
Oh yeah, because the present doesn't exist. You say?
When was it? Was it now?
Now.
Or
it is constant.
You know what I'm saying?
It's constant.
When did it happen?
It's ever flowing. We do have some really cool stuff though. The Kickstarter guys, again, I think I checked yesterday, up to $1,800.
Yeah, it's radical.
Maybe a little north of that. And what you guys have done, wow, we're blown away by. We're humbled by, and it's an awesome start for sure. We also had a friend out.
Yeah.
A buddy of ours, Kevin, who's actually also he's done contracting work before, and last Saturday we spent about 4 hours out in the garage, just kind of talking about the layout, size, what we wanted to do with the space, and he is going to be creating kind of like a budget for us, and right, or like what was that called? A quote.
Yeah, getting us a quote. Yeah.
Of to get it framed out, to get it finished all the way. So that'll be coming, and that'll kind of help create some stretch goals since we've got the Kickstarter for another month and a half.
Yeah.
That if you want to tell, I don't know, your rich grandma or your uncle who needs to donate some money or something, I don't mean, so that way we can try and reach some higher goals and really make this studio kick butt, or we can also just do it in phases too. So
yeah,
a lot of possibilities.
It may happen in phases because and that's okay. It just depends on we want to get the walls up, the structure.
Yeah.
And then we talked about going in there and just doing our audio podcast, continuing with that. But, one of the stretch goals is going to be to take the podcast to a visual podcast where we upload to YouTube. Continue with everything that we're doing, but add in a visual component so you can see that studio since you guys contributed, to that. But that's a ways down the line unless we really.
It's got to be decked out first. It's got to look. It's going to look good. And when it looks good, then we'll film it. Yeah.
So basically, the Kickstarter helps us with that. You'll see some of the extra goals on there, ways in which we can kind of go nuts. I mean, really with it. So.
And it was Phil Seidel. I just wanted to make this quick connection. Who sent us those pop figurine keychains?
Yeah.
So Phil, thank you. He's actually listening on Discord right now too.
Shout out to our folks on Discord who are listening live right
Uppers now. Listening right now. So thank you for that, Phil. Really, really kind. Didn't have to do that. Just further generosity.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, he is.
And so it begins.
Yep.
I would like to also give a quick shout out to Jen Shepard, who has been. Here's the thing. Throughout the week, this was a busy week for me, and Jen pushed me and motivated me to get more done this week than she doesn't even realize this, but I was getting a lot done and didn't even realize it. But she is behind the scenes doing a lot of work. And we have actually, we were doing a newsletter. We were sending it out to patrons.
Yep.
And basically she pitched an idea to us, asked if we needed help. The more this kind of grows, we're realizing that there's a lot that we want to do for you guys, but we may need help, just to kind of keep it all running. And if people are interested in that, then, I don't know. I feel like it's part of the community in the book club.
Yeah.
It's not just Lane and Ez. I mean, it's all of you guys. So she sent some ideas about the Bywater Post, things that she would like to, work on, and we made her the editor.
Yeah.
So she is the editor of the Bywater Post, and she will be reaching out to some of our patrons to sort of contribute. Yeah, like contributing writers or featured pieces or answering questions. There'll be a rotating kind of segment possibly. She's still kind of working out some of the details, but had a lot of really good ideas, I thought. And
awesome.
It actually takes the newsletter to a whole nother level.
It's going to be its own thing.
It's its own thing. It's actually going to be fantastic. Cool. And so it'll be kind of a informational piece for the community, and she'll reach out to those folks. So if you're on Patreon and you're supporting us there, she will be reaching out to you. We're going to provide her with a list and make sure, as long as everyone's, and again, it's a kind of an optional thing. She'll see if you're comfortable with it. If you'd like to contribute in some way, we'll work on that. But it might be a monthly thing under her supervision. We're going to work towards that. We'll see how that goes. But I'm really excited because I always wanted it to be something that would eventually go out to like a huge email list or, a group of people, maybe middle of the month, just something additional that you can look forward to, something you can read, maybe you're listening here. I think there's some, I don't know, anymore with technology. I like that we're like, it's funny to think that even though I just mentioned about doing a visual component to the podcast, right. I kind of like the auditory piece to it where you're just listening, and then going back to like reading a newsletter, I think is kind of cool.
Newspaper and radio. It's like back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So thank you, Jen, for taking that on board and doing such a great job with it. And it's going to be exciting to see what you guys come up with. It'll be really, really cool.
Yeah.
Also, we just finished recording episode 1. Chapter 1 in The Magician's Nephew for Further Up, looking for Lewis. So that will be coming out very soon, episode 0 and episode 1. So if you are a Narnian, if you are a fan of the world of Narnia, if you love Lewis, if you are a lover of Lewis,
if you want to see Ez struggle with his vulnerability,
if you want to see Ezra cry, if you want to see Sarah and I cry. So we're starting with Magician's Nephew, working all the way through the Narnia series, and it's like an initial read through for us because we've never read the books before. We know some of the stories, obviously, just from like films and the really good radio plays that are out, but it's a first read through, so it is different, and it's going to be a lot of fun and experiencing it like with the eyes of a child. So that's going to be out there.
Awesome.
Time to drop some eaves. We've got the Amazon show floating out there, guys. And I thought it was great. On the Facebook page, or in the group, actually, I think Tiffany O'Malley posted this article, and then Renee Garahan also posted this. It's from the Nerdist. It came out, I think, January 8th or 9th. Everything we know about Amazon's Lord of the Rings prequel series so far.
Huh.
And Renee added this comment. Looks like the Nerdist isn't up to date on the New Zealand drama. They should really be getting their information only from Up.
Wow.
Which I love that. That's awesome. So seems like the Nerdist is a little behind the times. I read something recently too. I don't have it in the notes today, but like there's pressure being put on it's either the studios or New Zealand to get something resolved within the next couple of weeks.
Oh, really?
Like they need to know. And we may have said this last week, but they need to know by the end of the month kind of whether they can film there or not, so they can start figuring stuff out.
Gotcha.
So we'll know very soon. Where it's either, it will be filmed in New Zealand or elsewhere.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Biopic, the biopic coming out in 4 months, right around the corner. Look for an Easter release. I'm gonna, you know what? Enough vague months.
Yeah.
It's an Easter release. It's coming out around Easter.
Wow.
In other corners of Middle Earth, we have the Billy Boyd World Tour. It continues to roll on. It's still with Susie. It's going to be passed on to Erica, then to Jen Shepard, the Shire rats themselves.
Yeah.
And then possibly moving on to Sherston. And from there, we've got a list we're going to dig up, and we're getting Billy back out there. The cool thing is every time Billy sees it, he retweets.
Right.
And
that's
pretty important. And it's cool seeing you guys. We need to start like a photo book of all the places Billy's been, because you guys have taken him some incredible places.
Hold on. Pippin is retweeting,
Yeah.
It's
your photos of him.
It's nuts.
I mean, come on.
It's crazy.
It's amazing. We've got 3 polls to go over this week. In this chapter, we saw a bit of magic, or did we? How was it that Sam got his rope back? Crappy knot tying or elvish magic? You guys were pretty heavy on Ez's side of the elvish magic. 90% of you said, yeah, there was some magic going on. 10% said, Sam, your knots just suck.
Yeah, well, I mean,
165 votes when I checked. I think it's up more than that now. But man, guys, your interaction with that has been amazing too. We're getting close to 200 votes a poll now.
I know.
It used to be like I would get so excited when there were 70.
Yeah, and that's just within
That's
like 1 week,
crazy. Yeah.
Which is radical. So
you're raising your hand. Do you have a question?
I just appreciate that everyone saw that, they don't call me the flannel wizard for nothing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I recognize magic. I understand it in a way.
It's easy to go mainstream as. That's what Sauron did.
Hey, here's the thing. You guys know. So appreciate you,
narrow is the
voting
way.
Correctly.
Narrow is the way. Bonus poll results. Would you rather have, this was Ezra wanted to ask this question, a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather have magic power or a magical object? Now, this was another 90%, 10% split on the side of magic power over a magical object.
Which
169 votes.
Which side was I on?
I don't remember.
Magical power. Don't
Was
even
it?
start with me.
I can't remember what you say half the time. Bonus poll results. Our guy Rob, Rob, he's the beautiful shirt maker, logo extraordinary. I call him the gear god because anything you need, he can create for you. Incredibly generous human being. One of our very good friends just asked if we'd be into patches or decals. Would you order some with Unexpected Podcast and or Further Up logos? Comment for both. So patches was at 44%, decals 56%, and had 11 comments, 98 votes, 100 people. So I would love to do that, get an order out. I've been wanting a patch to put on I want to put it on my North Face jacket.
Yeah.
Kind of a la, Peter Jackson, to have our little book club on there. I think it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. That'd be really neat.
Yeah, that's all we got. We're into the reread, young man.
Are we really?
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Are you doing okay?
I'm doing fine.
Does it make
there are many shades. There are many moods. There are many layers to Lane Smith. I am not one-dimensional.
Okay.
I'm not same old Lane. I mean, I am, but I go through different things, man. I'm chill.
Let me
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm totally fine. Let me just tell you guys though, I have not heard.
Do you feel dead?
A little bit. Yeah, I feel like
Feel
you're
marshy?
I feel like you might be a little dead right now, you know? Is that are you paralleling the chapter already?
Well, with your lack of sleep, that does it too, doesn't it?
Well, it does. But here's the
Just
thing. I mean, I haven't
Frodo
heard,
tired.
I have yeah. I have not heard a single Grima voice this evening.
He doesn't show up in this chapter.
Oh, okay.
You know, I think we said we were done with him.
Yeah, we're done.
We're moving on.
Don't bring him up.
He's not done with us in this story, unfortunately. Him and his master.
Yeah, exactly. So,
But yeah.
all right.
Well, what
so
happened?
This
chapter?
I don't know.
What happened last chapter?
What happened last chapter? It was probably a good idea to start there, isn't it? You know.
Back with our Frodo and Sam. You want me to do recap? You can
Yeah,
do
you
summary?
go ahead and do the recap here.
All right. So last week we rejoined our hobbits, Frodo and Sam, just after they had, departed from the members of the Fellowship. So we stepped back in time. The hobbits were stuck in the labyrinth of Emyn Muil, trying to make their way to Mordor, and it seemed a futile effort, retracing their steps, never being able to get to where they wanted to get to. They're eating lembas cakes. They're carrying this cooking gear, and they believe that they've lost Gollum. But boy, are they wrong.
Yeah.
After a little incident with the cliff that we couldn't really quite figure out, and some magic rope that apparently the elves have ordained, they descend and they make their way further on their way to Mordor, and have a little incident at night where they see this little creature crawling on the wall.
Yeah.
Also heard I passed it up again. I don't know why. They heard a sort of a shrill cry.
They did?
That gave them chills and took them back to just having left the Shire, and it jogged their memory a little bit too.
Yeah.
So anyway, Gollum approaches them. They have a little altercation, and it's Frodo who has to draw his sword Sting and hold it to Gollum's neck for him to let go of Sam. And eventually Gollum makes this promise to the Precious that he will serve the master of the Precious. And while Frodo, especially Sam, distrusts this promise at first, it seems like there might be some benefit from this. Frodo realizes, to his own surprise, that he has pity for this creature.
Yeah. He has that recall, doesn't he, of Gandalf kind of speaking to him about...
He literally has a flashback last episode.
Yeah.
So they are kind of on their way. Gollum has agreed to be their guide. He knows a secret way into Mordor that the hobbits could never find without him.
Yeah.
So he's leading them on the way.
Okay, so our summary this week, we've got our guide, and I have a question for you at the end of this summary. I want to kind of ask you, so don't let me forget that. So they make their way through the marshland that surrounded Mordor, right?
Yeah.
And remember, Gollum he has come across this when he fled Mordor or was let loose. Then fleeing, right?
Yeah.
He remembers traveling this land at night. You know, with he can see the dark shapes, the sensor there. You know, so he hasn't forgot
the sniffing.
Yeah, there it is. You know.
Yeah.
So he is helping lead them through this way. What's interesting is they get to a point. I'm already talking about the chapter. Sorry, let me summarize first. They make their way, through the marshlands. They have a couple of different encounters with some of the lights. Don't stare at the lights too long. Don't put your face down in the water, because it's just not good for you. Okay,
No.
It's not
Never
good
follow
water.
lights.
Yeah, you don't know where they're going to lead. Okay, unless it's the bright light at the end. I don't know. Never mind.
Well, even then.
So they have a whole bit where lambus bread is kind of running low. Gollum is hungry. They're all hungry. What are we going to do in that situation? How much do we have rationed out to get to Mount Doom and back? Can that even happen? Good conversation happens with Frodo there. On the fifth morning, they wake up to see that they're close to Mordor. The land was desolate. It's unwelcoming.
We get a little taste of Mordor.
Yeah, we do. We actually, surprisingly, more than I remember it, actually.
Me too. Like this man, I don't know. They changed a bit, didn't they? They really did.
Yeah,
This
they
didn't
did.
show us as much, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this book really just changes everything.
Is that from something?
No, I'm just saying, like, the gosh dang book, I mean, change the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Change the movie on me.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
So anyways, Frodo realizes that Gollum knew the Nazgul were searching for the ring just as he was. The next morning, Frodo, Sam, and Gollum had nearly arrived at the gates of Mordor. The hobbits thanked Gollum for fulfilling his promise of guiding them to the gates, and Nazgul flies overhead for a third time, which Gollum claimed was a very bad omen.
Talked about the number 3 before, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
Yep.
So anyways, then he doesn't want to go forward, and there's a whole bit here. But before we, that's the summary of the chapter. It's a long chapter, so I felt like we had to take you all the way to the end just in case
we don't get there.
In case we pass out during the reread portion of this. Let me just suck down some more of this cold brew coffee over here. Smeagol's in a bit of a pickle. He had to swear to the precious before in this past chapter.
Yeah.
What would you do, Lane, if you're in his shoes here? What do you do? I mean, like
if I'm in Gollum's shoes?
Yeah, I mean, can we even imagine what that would be like? You know what I mean?
I mean,
so some people in the group have mentioned what an interesting character he is. Can we even?
I guess like the parallel people draw, or the that's not the right word. I don't know what the word is. The connection they make to him is kind of like as an addict, right?
Okay.
So yeah, I think I can understand that. What would I do? I mean, I'd probably do what he does and just
whatever
think,
it takes.
Hey, just being close to it's enough.
Yeah.
Just being close to it's enough, and at least I know it's still around. At least I know it's back, not back with Sauron, and at least I know in this situation, I have some control over where it's going. Because without me, it's going to be stuck in Emyn Muil.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to have to take it.
Yeah.
And now that they've captured me, and they've shown that even though I'm a force to be reckoned with, that they can tame me, that I don't know. I mean, I could still, I can lead it somewhere. Yeah. Well, some sort of control over it.
Cool. I just think it's interesting to try to put yourself there, because we often do put ourselves in, I
mean, I have a lot of pity for him this chapter. I mean, this.
Yeah. Various characters, shoes or hobbit feet or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Another interesting point that kind of came up in this chapter is I want to know, when he swore on the precious, what tint were his eyes? Were they green or were they pale?
Yeah.
What state? Who was it that was swearing?
That's a good question.
On the precious, because that's gonna. I mean, I believe they were kind of that light pale, which kind of what symbolizes that he's Smeagol. Kind of trying to do good. Yeah. Did you catch that in this? I thought that was so spooky, and it actually reminded me of the way they, in the animation, the old animated movies, how they depicted Gollum, and you would see that glow in his eyes.
What they did in the films too is, I think they especially did it in The Hobbit, was when he was Smeagol, his eyes, his pupils were wider, darker, bigger.
Yes.
And when he was Gollum, they got more dilated.
That's
they
right.
were little, tiny. And as his personalities and his, went back and forth. Yeah, I mean, he's a man possessed. He's a former Hobbit possessed. Like, it's sad.
Yeah,
it's really sad. Yeah,
it's crazy. So let's dive into some of the chapter here, and we'll start with this. Let's see here. How do you? I mean, I wanted to start with the song. How do you even sing this?
Yeah.
The cold hard lands, they bites our hands.
You got it, dude.
I can't sing the whole thing.
Beneath our feet, the rocks and stones are like our bones, all bare of meat.
Actually, they use some
really
of this. They use some of this in the film, like when he's at the Forbidden Pool and he's killing the fish.
Yeah.
We only wish to catch a fish so juicy, sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's slapping the fish.
Yeah,
down
slapping
on
the fish. Yeah. A stream and pool is wet and cool, so nice for feet. And now we wish. So, because they've gotten into this little gully, right, where this stream is sort of flowing. Mm-hmm. Is that where we are right now?
Yeah.
And this is the path they kind of follow out of Emyn Muil, right?
That's right.
And it's cool. I mean, this is he he's a character who loves water. He lived in that that lake, in the cave under the roots of the Misty Mountains, and this is something that's nice for him.
Yeah. I think one of the reasons why he's so hungry here, too, is the obsession, the addiction to staying up on the ring. I mean, it seems like he could stop and catch fish and do different things and survive. He's a survivor, right?
Yeah.
But he's pushing himself because, he's keeping up with Frodo and Sam.
Yeah.
Keeping a close eye there.
Yep.
So
That's true. That's true.
It's kind of like, when your mind is fixated on something like that, you kind of forget to eat or you forget to take care of yourself a little bit. So
he's a living example of that, isn't he?
Yeah. So, and this is not the point where eventually he's going to, we'll talk about the food and him getting hungry and things here. So, also there's a cool connection here back to the Hobbit, which is he's thinking back actually to a time when he was making riddles with Bilbo.
Yeah.
And he kind of talks about Bilbo would know.
Yeah. Yeah.
What he's talking about here, and his sing-songy, riddles and whatnot. And he actually, at almost the very end, or maybe it was the middle, where he starts to kind of compare Frodo and Bilbo, which I thought was interesting.
That is interesting.
Big,
it is.
Big little tie in there. So,
There's some of that Frodo does too, doesn't he? I mean, not in this chapter, but you see that kind of throughout, comparing his journey to Bilbo's journey. Talking about how they're different characters and. Yeah, their adventures are very different.
So I think Sam and Frodo kind of asleep at this time, or Sam's pretending to be, right? His a glint came into his eyes, and Sam, catching the gleam in the darkness, thought it far from pleasant. Maybe not. Maybe he's just sort of over
I think they're.
Are they walking?
Walking? Yeah.
Are they? Okay.
I think so.
Well, J.K., maybe they're sleepwalking. In my mind.
He led the way.
Right.
Following him, the hobbits climb down into the gloom. It's not difficult. I think it's when they're in that little gully area. They just kind of follow out as like the road out of Emmanuel.
Again, guys, in my mind,
think
they were sleeping. No, that's later. Remember where he's kind of keeping an eye on him later?
Yeah. It's like the end of the chapter where he's,
Not the beginning as. Cool. All right. Anyways. So these words here, alive without breath, as cold as death, never thirsting, ever drinking, clad in mail, never clinking. He goes on and on. Rhymety rhyme. These words only made more pressing to Sam's mind a problem that had been troubling him from the moment when he understood that his master was going to adopt Gollum as a guide. The problem of food.
Yep.
With hobbits, that's where we're back to.
Yeah.
Back to the food.
Yeah.
And we don't have much of it. All we have is lambus bread. They're stumbling along here in the dark, and at last the sky above grew gray and faint. And so, day is near, he says, right? What is this? So Gollum had okay. So are they traveling through the night again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had shown no sign of tiring. Oh, remember at the start of the chapter, too.
The yellow face.
He's moving quickly, right? With enthusiasm.
Yeah.
But at the same time, not getting, not leaving them entirely behind, but truly seems to have fallen into this role of a guide.
As their guide, yeah.
But he's moving with some
and
enthusiasm.
Gollum also doesn't like traveling during the day either because of the sun. The sun is almost. Do we see that later? It's almost like he talks about it here. Day is near, he whispered, as if day was something that might overhear him and spring on him. Smeagol will stay here. I will stay here, and the yellow face won't see me. We should be glad to see the sun, said Frodo, but we will stay here. We are too tired to go any further at present. You are not wise to be glad of the yellow face, said Gollum. It shows you up. Nice, sensible hobbits stay with Smeagol. Orcs and nasty things are about. They can see a long way. Stay and hide with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he prefers to travel during the night.
I mean,
right?
kind of good advice, I think.
It is. I mean,
I'm
thinking about that, like how Frodo and Sam, they would be happy to see the sun, but they shouldn't be because it is more revealing.
Yeah.
They need as much cover as they can possibly get. So and then so it's interesting. You have that interaction from Gollum, and you're like, wow, like this is a different creature, man.
Yeah.
Different creature.
100%.
Which I think is what you were getting at, right? Like what is genuine and what is not.
Yeah. Well,
what is him? What is like? It's seeming like he's nice, but he's really manipulating to get the ring back long term. Like, what's long game versus real? Like, is he really feeling this way? Is he really having a change of heart?
Well, and I mean, here's the thing. I don't know. We don't know. I mean, when you really think about, I guess after watching that documentary about the things that people went through in World War I,
yeah,
and how much trauma can cause some mental health issues and things. And I'd love to talk to Jace about this. What Gollum has gone through, and Tolkien writing about that and having a character like that here, who has gone through so much, but yet it was the temptation that kind of started it all. And then
I know, dude.
And then look at the torture that he went through, and he's back, and he's being treated with kindness, and so he responds well to that.
Right.
It's just interesting.
Man.
One thing to pay attention to in this chapter too is, so that when they first start talking about food here, Frodo says, we must take a little food. Are you hungry, Smeagol? And he calls him Smeagol. Again. We have very little to share, but we will spare with you what we can. At the word hungry, a greenish light was kindled in Gollum's pale eyes. So they're pale, and then that greenish tint. You watch it. You just keep watching. It'll go from pale to green, green to pale, back and forth. And I think that's what you were saying is the dilation. It kind of shows you when he's kind of coming in and out of different characters. His mindset shifts.
Yep.
So it's kind of the tell there, which you don't really notice. I never really thought about it until I was really immersed in this chapter.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's kind of crazy.
It's all in the eyes again.
Yeah. So he's got that greenish light, and it's funny that it kind of here. Wow, dude. Okay, Jamie Christmas, dude. Tolkien's he's a genius,
I know
man.
he is. I know.
We're talking about hunger here.
Yep.
And being hungry.
Yeah.
For something, and being famished.
Yeah.
And he's deprived of this thing that, he's hungering for the ring, And so at that word hunger, it's not a direct, but
that's a play on the.
Yeah,
the
it's
meaning.
hinting.
Right.
It's I don't know what it is, but it's fantastic.
Well, even the light in his eyes too. If you think about that, his battle between light and dark.
Yeah.
All the time. It's not there's a lot of what is that motif of light in this chapter?
Sure.
We have light versus dark all throughout this entire. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's
and actually,
crazy.
I'm just even noticing too, like when they describe the sun as yellow, his teeth as yellow, the lights as yellow.
Yep.
You see a lot of. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, a lot of yellow and green going on. Yeah.
Really interesting, man. It feels like we're back in the beginning, just like really
I know.
looking at this kind of line by line. It's so awesome. So yeah, he talks about Smeagol's famished.
Isn't? I mean, the other thing too. No, sorry.
Go ahead.
You brought up the fact that Frodo called him Smeagol, but that's not something Sam calls him.
No.
Right.
Right.
Which is an important distinction to make.
But who's in the
Yeah, I mean,
who is he?
It's what you see in him, right? Frodo sees the light, and Sam only sees.
Are you seeing
someone trying to get at his master?
Right. Are you seeing pale eyes or are you seeing green eyes?
Yeah.
What do you see?
Exactly.
I don't think he even knows, and I think it's actually kind of the whole point. And maybe, I don't know. I've never really given Smeagol and Gollum much thought, to be quite frank, until people in the group were talking about how he was one of the most interesting characters.
He is,
and
he really is, man.
He is, So he has.
Who else is like him?
Yeah, it's
anyone else who had the ring didn't have it very long.
Well, we hate him.
I mean?
Like for a while, we hate him, and then we're also like cursing his name because he set the Nazgul, onto the hobbits. But then you find out what happens to him, and you're like, good grief, man.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah, it is.
So I don't know. It's tough. He's in a tough spot.
Yep.
So the fishes.
Yeah, the fishes.
The fishes.
Don't have any fishes. Precious. And then they kind of offer him some lembas bread.
Yeah.
Right? And he has this violent reaction, like a spasm of disgust came over him and a hint of his old malice. Smeagol smells it. He said, leaves out of the elf country. God, they stinks. He climbed in those trees, and he couldn't wash the smell off his hands. And we have this memory. I had forgotten, until we read through this again. I'm like, oh, yeah, duh.
Yeah,
he was in Lorien. Yeah.
Right there, yeah.
Right. And wasn't even captured at one point, too? And he escaped, right?
That was in Mirkwood.
That was Mirkwood. Yep.
Yeah.
Never mind.
But still,
Yep,
still though, I mean, he's been around the elves quite a bit.
Yeah,
and he's
true.
not had a good taste in his mouth
Right.
or smell in his nose.
You're right. But specifically to Lorien, that's right, because he was
Yeah.
following there. Yep. He climbed in those trees, and he couldn't wash the smell off his hands. My nice hands. Dropping the leaves, he took a corner of the lembas and nibbled it. He spat, and a fit of coughing shook him.
Yeah.
So like he can't even choke it down.
Yeah.
And crazy. Like, what is that? Is he just not used to that food? He's that it's like a biology thing, or is it like because there's elven power in it? Because there's that, that magic in. Because lembas is magical. I mean, name another food where you can take a little tiny bite and it fills your stomach. So
right.
I wonder. I don't know. That's interesting, huh?
Yeah, it is, and I think it's sort of that. It could be you could point to a lot of things. The corruption of like that dark power that's on Smeagol, kind of prolonging and preserving his life.
Yep.
Yeah. Contrasting with the magic of the elves. I don't know.
But poor Smeagol, he's gonna starve. Yeah. That's what he says. Poor thin Smeagol.
Oh, poor guy. Yeah, it's a crazy thing. We feel so bad for him here. We're like, well, come on, like there's got to be something. So he says, but Frodo's I'm sorry, you can't help you. So I think this food would do you good if you would try, but perhaps you can't even try. Not yet, anyways. So they ate their lambus bread in silence. I thought this was hilarious. Gollum's kind of sitting there, watching them, like almost as if he was waiting for them to pull out some sweet or some treat.
Yeah, like a dog.
Thinking like, well, maybe they have something. They're just not. They're not telling me that they have it. There's something else they might pull out. I think he's almost shocked to see them only eat lambus bread.
Yeah. So like they were hiding something from him.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting too how like that line where it's very revealing of how Frodo sees Smeagol's path forward. He says, not yet anyway.
Yeah.
Like that you're so far gone now, but
that's true.
We're gonna help you. You're gonna come back.
Right.
Which is just it's interesting because Sam doesn't have that view. A lot of people in Middle Earth wouldn't have that view.
Yeah.
And Frodo does because of that connection of being ring bearers, right? What he sees, I guess maybe what he even sees in Gollum, especially as we get on this chapter, he's feeling inside of him. Mm-hmm. It's just wild to think about.
It is so
it's
wild.
A projection too. That could be that. That could be me.
Yeah. Well, and it's nuts to kind of think that I said this last chapter, that Smeagol's a ring bearer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we totally forget that.
Yeah.
I do anyway. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's nuts.
You guys don't. I do. But it just kind of blows my mind sometimes to think about like we hold
because we don't know him we meet him when he has the ring and then he loses it right away in the Hobbit, right? But we don't know him as a ring bearer.
Yeah, and I say just someone who was a ring bearer. Yeah, I mean that could be. And
we think when we think of ring bearer, we think of Frodo
taking
this quest.
Yeah.
It's an honorable thing versus this
true
kind of embarrassing.
But it's like Bilbo wasn't taking it to Mount Doom.
That's true. He was hanging on to it.
Yeah.
It's almost like
revere him as someone who bore that burden.
Would Bilbo or Frodo have wound up like Gollum sooner? You know what I mean?
Oh boy.
Different circumstances. It's kind of hard to.
Well, but Bilbo gives it up willingly.
Yeah,
it's
but
crazy.
He didn't have the weight of the quest either. Yeah, interesting.
Circumstances.
He wasn't taking them, and we talk about here later too how the closer he gets, the heavier it becomes.
Yeah.
And even I was overcome by that sense, especially towards the end of the chapter. I'm like, geez, this is a far cry from the last time we were hanging out with these guys.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like we thought it was rough then, but it was not. We were hanging out with elves. Mm-hmm. I went through Moria. That was pretty dark, but we had the Fellowship with us. This is brutal.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. Here's another thing too: is that like the proximity to Mordor and Mount Doom and where it was forged and created in secret. One ring
gives it power.
Yeah,
it gives it stronger power. Yeah.
So as Isildur, again, ring bearer.
Yep.
Yep. Right.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Then it's laying at the bottom of the river for a long time, and Smeagol comes along. It's interesting that more people didn't have their hands on it. Actually,
it is.
So. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, and like how much of that was the ring versus people not being, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the ring not wanting to be found.
We're told somewhere, right, that that it was something that it didn't expect. Well, that's sort of also when the ring betrays Gollum, right? Yeah. And then Bilbo's the kind of steps in the unexpected journey, know. So
Crazy.
Anyways, all right. Sorry, just derailed the whole conversation. Yeah. So when they woke up, all right. So they actually end up getting. Wait. Did I just literally skip a whole page ahead? Probably did.
Yeah, a little bit. They were just talking about. You were talking about Gollum waiting for food. He went off by himself. He went off by him, sat by himself a few paces away and whimpered a little.
Yeah.
I said it's so much like a little like puppy dog or something.
Right.
Yeah, who was it saying we really got to get some sleep? Sam was saying to Frodo.
Yeah.
But not all together. But not both together with that hungry villain nigh. And he's trying to say it. He's not really whispering. He's saying it so Gollum can kind of hear as well.
Yeah.
So that he knows.
Well, he's saying he's hungry, and earlier he was talking about how tasty the hobbits would be.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah. He says he won't change his habits in a hurry. I'll warrant. You go to sleep, Miss Frodo. I'll call you when I can't keep my eyelids open. And Frodo's like, yeah, sure. As soon as he puts his head down, he falls asleep, and he's out. And it's Sam who kind of eventually Gollum goes to sleep as well, and all he can hear is the hissing of both of them sleeping. And he's not really sure. He wants to make sure Gollum is asleep and not just faking, because he wants to know, hey, if I fell asleep too, would he just wake right up and try and eat us? So he goes over and whispers. What does he whisper? Fish close to his ear.
Yeah.
And there's no response and not even a catch in Gollum's breathing. So he's pretty convinced that he really is asleep.
Yeah. Can you see Sam doing that?
I totally can. Yeah, it's hilarious. It's just like that is so Sam. And it actually, like, especially going through it there again, it makes me think of that time where he realizes when he sees Gollum over Frodo, and he's like, man, my whole concern this whole time was him eating us. I didn't even think about, he wants the ring. Duh.
Yeah.
You know, Sam kind of has one of those moments where he thinks about what the old gaffer would have called him. What do you say here?
So then he's.
He just kind of he was tempted to take his sword and rope out, and put those thoughts aside, and then it's him that falls asleep.
Yeah, for 9 hours.
9 hours. Wakes up and Frodo outslept him, which is good.
Thank goodness, yeah.
Right.
Well, again, yeah, so Smeagol actually at some point must have woke up before them.
Yeah,
he was
that's
only supposed
true.
to be out for 2 hours. Frodo said waking up in 2 hours.
Right.
He had first watch, and they both just zonked.
Yeah.
You know?
That sounds so nice, doesn't
Sounds so great, right? But they wake up and they're wondering where that poor wretch has gotten to, you know?
Yeah.
And he actually pipes up. Either was he right in front of him or right behind him? He says, "Not far, not far." He says, a voice above them. Right had said this. They looked up and they see the shape of Gollum, his large head, his ears against the evening sky.
I think one of my favorite sentences in the entire story is here, though. Various reproachful names for himself came to Sam's mind, drawn from the gaffer's large paternal word hoard.
Yeah. Yep.
Just thinking about, what a
Oh no, I thought that was hilarious
confounded
too,
old Samwise.
because Frodo even tells him later to
Put
stop.
those out of your mind.
Yeah, put those out of your mind because
We're
he
fine.
knows he's kicking himself.
Yeah.
But it actually ended up working out good because they're all well rested, and kind of can start on the same foot here, fresh, air quote fresh.
Yep.
So, let's see. So Frodo made light of it when they had learned about how long they had slept for. So all is good, and they're both well rested. About the food, said Sam. How long is it going to take for us to do this job? This is where they start to have that conversation about how long do we have enough lambus bread to get us to Mount Doom?
Yeah.
What do we do for the return journey?
Right.
Which is what you. This really makes you. I mean, he kind of leaves it open ended right here, where Frodo says he's not so sure that there will be one. He doesn't actually say that, but it's sort of implied.
He says pretty much all I can do is get it there. That's
Yeah.
That's the most I
Most
think
I
I
can.
can get accomplished.
Yep.
Yeah. And Sam even says we've been a bit too free with the lembas bread so far. We'll have to, be a little more mindful of that. So you're right. He's thinking about that, keeping track of that. What did I have underlined here? What hope is there that we shall ever, come back? And if we do, who knows what will come of that? If the one goes into the fire and we are at hand, I ask you, Sam, are we ever likely to need bread again? I think not. If we can nurse our limbs to bring us to Mount Doom, that is all we can do. More than I can say, I begin to feel. So it's like this overwhelming sense of we're doomed, man. I mean, this is like our fate, and he's kind of resigned to that. He's accepted that fate for himself and for Sam. That's his duty to help, destroy this evil.
When you're setting goals and stuff too, it almost seems like as you look at this, Sam's there to kind of see beyond. You want to push yourself beyond where you know what I'm saying, because I don't know, it's just
the other thing too is Sam doesn't realize the weight that Frodo's feeling either.
Right.
Like Frodo's getting this up close front row of evil in your face.
Yeah.
And Sam's experiencing it in a very different way. He's there to defend his best friend,
right?
His boss, his master, and So I don't know that. Like, would it even be possible for Frodo to think that way? No, not at all. Like, there's no way.
Right.
There's no way he could think. If he thought that way, he'd be like crazy. He'd be like Gollum, because Gollum thinks he's gonna wind up with the ring and everything's gonna be just fine and happy.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Perspective is everything, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. Okay. So again, Sam gets emotional.
Yeah, he's brought to tears here, isn't he?
Right. So, he kind of bends down and wants to kind of, kiss his master's hand. Tears fall on his hand. He gets up and he kind of, shakes it off and says, "Where's that dreaded creature?"
Yeah.
And Gollum actually comes back here and he's, been having a, calamari buffet over here. He's got his, mud-covered lips and everything, just eating a nice slimy fish.
Yeah.
Good for him, man.
Pretty good, right?
You ever had
Raw fish?
raw fish?
Yeah.
What do they call that? It's the name. There's a name for
Sushi?
it. Sushi?
Sushi?
I
Sushi.
mean, seriously, is that what? I mean, that's.
Yeah,
I always get the fake kind. I always get the artificial
crab?
Yeah.
Imitation crab?
Yeah.
Artificial crab.
Artificial intelligent crab. That's what I get.
Stuff's good, too. I like the tuna, the raw tuna. Oh, my gosh.
Never heard of it.
You ever had, like, lightly seared tuna? Dude, it's good.
You mean like tuna from a can?
No. That's good, too. I like that, too.
Okay.
No, just
Is that raw? That's not raw. It's cooked, isn't it?
Yeah. Now you got me thinking. Yeah, that's cooked. Maybe. I don't know.
Oh,
that's a good question.
Gosh. Anyway.
That's a good question. So we're starting to see. Holy cow, man! We're starting to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Where are we?
Well, he comes back with the fish in his mouth, and he's
Yeah.
This is kind of a fun little part where he says, "Are we rested? Ready to go
Yeah.
on? Nice hobbits. They sleep beautifully. Trust Smeagol now? Question mark.
Yeah.
Very, very good. And I think saying that he had watched them sleep a little bit is kind of like, wow. All right. Well, maybe this guy. And I like actually. So Frodo and Sam talk about how long will the promise hold? That it's still near in his mind.
Yeah.
It's a recent event. The longer time goes on, the forces that would pull him away from, or pull in the direction of breaking that promise, are going to continue to build.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But for right now, it's still fresh in his mind, and he's attracted to the idea of keeping it. So
this is where the gully starts to change. It becomes shallower, and sort of the berm on each side goes down, and it pretty much turns into this boggy area. This is the end of the Emyn Muil and the beginning of the Marshes. So really cool description on either side, and in front, wide fens and mires now lay, stretching away southward and eastward into the dim half-light. Mists curled and smoked from dark and noisome pools. The reek of them hung stifling in the still air. Far away, now almost due south, the mountain walls of Mordor loomed like a black bar of rugged clouds floating above a dangerous fog-bound sea. I think like the one thing that stood out to me too that I don't ever, because you're watching a movie or you're reading a book, the sense isn't engaged, even though we say never forget it, is the reek, the smell of the marshes.
Yeah.
Like, what would that be like? I mean, because there's all kinds of stuff. I mean, not only just like the actual environment, but the sort of the evil that's there.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that would be potent for sure. The old nostrils.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a smell in my own life that would describe it, but
I could probably think of one.
I don't think we should go there. Goodness. But yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, this scenery really changes, and there's some really good pictures. We'll post them in the group later,
Yeah.
just of what this looks like, and maybe you can almost see. It's almost like you could see the smell rising.
Yeah.
Is what I think. It's like, kind of like when you see in cartoons and stuff, they've got that green kind of fog or whatever you want to call it, like
Yep.
coming off of the dumpster. It's what this
Yeah,
looks like.
yeah.
It looks like it's actually
the
got
flies and everything.
Yeah.
This is a pretty interesting realization too. The hobbits were now wholly in the hands of Gollum.
Right.
Like they were entering in there realizing our fate's in his hands. He could be leading us to a trap.
Mm-hmm.
And we wouldn't know it. We're at his mercy, kind of.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Well, and actually, something else just to back up real quickly here. You talked about the map of the dead marshes here. You had a kind of a way in which, remember at one point they talked about going straight across and man, how did they look? I'm looking at that map like, gosh, did they double back? How does he get them? The one that you have in here. I know they were circling right. They're making their way across the marshes there, because at one point, Smeagol does kind of say like we can go straight up to the gate. And that's where he's leading them, because
they're
that's where
talking about going. Yeah, I think they were talking about taking that northern, like going north and then east.
Yeah,
and then going in the you can access the Daggerlad.
That's because they mentioned that.
Yeah, and that. But he was saying, I think he goes on to say it's a highway where your enemy is orcs go back and forth all the time. You'd be caught like that.
Right.
So really, the only way to go is through the dead marshes. Yeah.
Well, and then so the idea, the way in which he takes them at the end of this chapter too, like he gets this idea right at the very end to kind of shift course and take them the long way, trust Smeagol, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So okay, I just saw your map there. I was trying to make sense of it.
Oh, what do you mean, the bottom one?
Yeah.
The bottom one is just how there's, it needs an explanation, but I didn't realize too that there are like layers. There are different like atmospheres even within the marshes, which I never caught before. Like in the movie, they're the dead marshes. They're the same everywhere. But like here, it's like you go in and it's okay. It's tough to navigate, but it's doable. Then it gets a little tougher, and it's like thin strands where, you really got to be watching where Gollum's putting his footsteps. Then you get into that black, dark, midnight area.
Yeah.
Where it's pitch black, and you've got the faces in the water and all that stuff. And then you come out, and it's just interesting how there's different. I always thought them as pretty homogeneous, straight across the board. It's all the same.
Well, yeah, that's.
But it's not that way. It's
is that why there's
different
this
areas
break in the structure? So you see like where he starts to talk about on either side and in front of the wide fin. Like at some point, doesn't it describe a more like a different, darker, like things are getting worse? I guess is the way I was trying.
Yeah,
to...
I mean, and we pass through it too. We see it as we journey through.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's the environment definitely changes.
Well, because like the paragraph I'm looking at here, it says on either side, let me move on down here. Mist curled and smoked from dark, noisome pools. The reek of them hung stifling in the air. Far away now, almost due south, the mountain walls of Mordor loomed like a black bar of rugged clouds floating above a dangerous fog-bound sea.
Yeah, it just seems to me like even from that description, when you go through it, it's much different.
Gotcha.
It's like there are these different they're like different sub areas of the marshes that are, like bad neighborhoods.
Yeah. Okay. So Frodo asked a question though. So as they're on their way here and they're fully in his hands, right? On that stony plain, there was no cover. Across it ran the highways of the orcs. Let me back up. That is actually the part where I was trying to talk about here. Let me read all of this. Sorry, guys. They did now know, and could not guess in the misty light, that they were in fact only just within the northern borders of the marshes, the main expanse of which lay south of them. They could, if they had known the lands, with some delay, have retraced their steps a little, and then, turning east, have come around over hard roads to the bare plain of Daggerlad, the field of the ancient battle before the gates of Mordor. Not that there was great hope in such a course. On that stony plain there was no cover, and across it ran the highways of the orcs and the soldiers of the enemy. So this is what I was trying to understand with the map. Do they go that way? I mean, that's
No,
so they don't go.
they don't go that way. That's the Dagger Lad's right there.
Yeah. I see it, but
They don't. Yeah, they don't go that way. That would be a more direct path.
that's the more direct path that they could have taken straight across over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's orcs going back. It's a highway. You know, there's more activity there, is what I'm trying to say. They'd be spotted more easily.
Okay. So, I guess when I'm looking at this, I need to pull up their actual path because I got confused by the line that's on the bottom.
Well, you don't know their actual path.
Okay.
I mean, there's no map that because they're going in and out and back and forth and all over the place.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Is that
Yeah.
like at one point, because they decide to later on, almost like, how do they get from where they were down to where, you know what I'm saying?
It's Gollum. I have no idea. He
Okay,
knows.
okay,
Only he
okay.
knows the secret, ways
What
through
the heck?
right.
All right,
I mean,
all
that's
right.
the whole deal.
Smeagol.
That's why no one goes through the marshes.
Smeagol, you're killing me here, man.
Yeah.
I just, I need to know where we're at.
I mean,
man.
at one point, I think it says that even he's kind of like sweating and not totally remembering, but he's just trusting his old senses to get him through.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. Because I looked at that as like, why couldn't they just, they could have gone straight over and around and north
Yeah.
of the dead marshes, right?
Yeah, they could
But
have.
that's too much of the enemy. That's where the enemy's,
Right. Be like suicide.
marshaling
pretty
and,
much.
yeah,
Yeah.
running their forces.
Here we
in,
are.
So, gotcha.
Especially when we find out that there are, wraiths on wings flying around too.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's no, I mean, I don't think there's any cover. Doesn't he say it's kind of like a desert pretty much?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bare plain land. So there's no real place to hide even on the Dagger Lad.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, Frodo asks, how do we shape our course now, Smeagol? Must we cross these evil-smelling fens? No need at all, said Gollum. Not if hobbits want to reach the Dark Mountains and go to see him very quick. So he's giving them that quick option straight across, right? Back a little and around a little. His skinny arms waved north and east. Well, there you go. Okay, so north and just east over.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm getting it. All right. And you can come on hard, cold roads to the very gates of his country. All right. And they start to talk about the eye a little bit and how it watches that way all the time. It caught Smeagol there long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But Smeagol has used his eyes since then. Yes. I've used eyes and feet and nose since then. I know other ways. More difficult, not so quick, but better. If we don't want him to see, follow Smeagol. And so he said he can take you through the marshes, boom, through the mist. Which no one's going that way, right? So,
Right. Yeah. No.
I almost imagine if they're flying over that too, they're not really looking at it.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like us.
Right.
So, anyways, all right. It was already day, a windless and sullen morning, and the marshes lay in heavy banks. No sun pierced the low clouded sky, and Gollum seemed anxious to continue the journey at once. So after a brief rest, they set out again, and were soon lost in the shadowy, silent world, cut off from all view of the lands about, either the hills that they had left or the mountains that they sought. They went slowly in single file, Gollum, Sam, and Frodo.
Kind of reminds you of like the Barrow Downs too, with all that fog.
Yeah.
Where they couldn't see anything. It was all just like
Right.
very claustrophobic again.
Right. And this is where, when they're in single file too, we see Frodo start to fall behind.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This is where he's that weight
Yep.
we had talked about is really growing on him.
That's
So I think we can move through.
And even that they went, there's a special point there. Even that they went slow, he still lagged behind. They weren't moving quick, and he was still sort of. Yeah.
I don't want to skip too far ahead, but I feel like we could here for this a little bit.
It was dreary and wearisome. Just talking about the environment. Cold, clammy winter still held sway in the forsaken country. The only green was the scum of livid weed on the dark, greasy surfaces of the sullen waters. Man, you can just really visualize it. Dead grasses and rotting reeds loomed up in the mist like ragged shadows of long-forgotten summers. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. A lot like Gollum. Really.
Yeah.
You know? As the day wore on and the light increased a little, and you can, I'll just keep reading it for a little bit because this is good description. And the mist lifted, growing thinner and more transparent. Far Above the rotten vapors of the world, the sun was riding high and golden now in a serene country with floors of dazzling foam, but only a passing ghost of her could they see below, bleared, pale, giving no color and no warmth. Also referring to the sun as a her again.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just, they got nothing. They got nothing.
Right.
Not a bird, said Sam mournfully. No birds, said Gollum. Nice birds. Licked his teeth. No birds here. No birds, he ended sadly. Sam looked at him with distaste. I just love, every time Tolkien just points it out, I love it. Sam cannot stand. Yeah, just
seriously.
Gross.
He's talking about snakesies and wormsies and
That's right.
things in these pools. I mean, that is just not a place I want to be. I'm snakes. I'm out.
Yep.
I'm out, man. So past the third day of their journey, and still making their way through. This has got to be miserable.
Yeah.
Bugs, flies. They don't actually describe a lot of that. But remember when they were? Where were they when there was all sorts of? When they were with Aragorn, and they're moving through
the Midgewater Marshes.
Yeah.
So this is where they kind of pass. This is what I was kind of trying to show in that smaller map as was the levels of darkness.
Gotcha.
They had come to the very midst of the dead marshes, and it was dark. And as far when I'm reading this, before the shadows of evening were long and haggard days. I don't think this is night. I think this is just the marshes themselves. If I'm wrong, someone correct me. And it was dark. They walked slowly, stooping, keeping close in line, following attentively every move that Gollum made. The fens grew more wet, opening into wide, stagnant mares, or lakes, among which it grew more and more difficult to find the firmer places where feet could tread without sinking into gurgling mud. So you think a marsh, you think it's all the same. It's changing. It's far less stable, more water, less land, and less stable ground.
Mm-hmm.
The travelers were light, or maybe none of them would have found a way through. So there you go. If you're a larger person, there might not be a way through. Presently, it grew altogether dark. The air itself seemed black and heavy to breathe. When lights appeared, Sam rubbed his eyes.
Yeah.
He thought his head was going queer. So it's like they're entering another level of I don't know. He first saw one on the corner of his left eye, a wisp of pale sheen that faded away. But others appeared soon after, some like dimly shining smoke, some like misty flames flickering slowly above unseen candles. Here and there they twisted like ghostly sheets, unfurled by hidden hands, but neither of his companions spoke a word.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where they see the lights, and Gollum talks about them being tricksy lights, candles of corpses. And don't follow them. Don't follow them.
Don't follow the light, man.
Don't follow them.
I mean, that's crazy.
And this is where Sam has a little scary moment. He looks back and can't see Frodo.
Yeah, and actually it's Smeagol who actually says, "Where's the master?"
Yeah.
So he's the first one who kind of says, like,
interesting,
what?
isn't it?
He's...
Yeah. I didn't catch that. Yeah, that's
right.
true.
He's lingering back there, and you're like, oh, okay.
And Sam finds him by bumping into him. He's going back for him.
It's
and
dark when he looks back there. You're right. There is a different level of darkness, which is why the lights are there.
It's almost like a reverse hurricane. You know what I mean? Like you go in and the eye is black and it's all this dark. I don't know. It's crazy. And I tried looking for a good map, and there are no real good maps out there that would kind of give more detail to the marshes. It's all just, there are the marshes. Boom. So Sam finds him, and he's got his arms by his side, water and slime dripping from them. So that's kind of interesting too. Did he go in the water? Was he pulled in? What happened there? We don't really know. Come, Mr. Frodo, said Sam. Don't look at them. Gollum says we mustn't. Let's keep up with him and get out of this cursed place as quick as we can, if we can. All right, said Frodo, as if returning out of a dream. I'm coming. Go on. So, this is where Sam starts talking about the dead faces in the water.
Yeah, and I was asking, who is he seeing, right?
Yeah.
What faces would he be seeing?
Men and elves and orcs beside them. And then we pretty much go on to learn, and Gollum tells us how, he doesn't tell us directly, but this was the battle of the last alliance between men and elves in the year 3434 that resulted in the end of the Second Age, right? Where the ring was cut from Sauron's hand, and these are the bodies that are, or the souls, I guess, I don't know, that were trapped and dead there. So all these different, foe and enemy side by side in this. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and what's neat too is we have some of our Discord listeners. So Sherston was on here. Wonderful, elf maiden that she is.
Galadriel herself.
Yeah, knows all about this elf history, which is fantastic, and brought up Legolas's father. I can never say his name.
Thranduil.
Thranduil. Thank you. And his father, and losing his life, here, and all that kind of cool stuff. So I was just spent about a good 5-10 minutes here on the gateway, kind of looking up some of that really, really cool stuff.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, Sherston.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome. Still got a few people hanging in there with us as we,
Pretty amazing.
as we press on here.
So Sam's questioning whether the dead can really be there. Is there some devilry hatched in the dark land? And Smeagol says, who knows? You cannot reach them. You cannot touch them. We tried once. Yes, precious. I tried once. But you cannot reach them. Only shapes to see, perhaps not to touch. No, precious. All dead. Sam looked darkly at him and shuddered again, thinking that he guessed why Smeagol had tried to touch them. Why I don't want to see them, he said. Never again. Can we get away from this land? So this is where Gollum says, Yep, just don't look at the lights. Let's move on. And they start to move their way out of this area. And around those bigger lakes.
Right, yeah. Well, yeah, so Sam really almost gets, Sam and Frodo are struggling here.
I mean, why were Frodo's hands wet?
Yeah, exactly.
What was he doing?
It's too dark, man. It's too dark.
What are you doing, Frodo?
I'm out on this. If I can't see the hand in front of my face and, a couple steps, I lose people around me.
So that makes me wonder, did he follow a light? Or did something pull him in? Or did he just sneeze?
Dude, something grabbed him.
I don't know, man.
I don't know, man.
Those lights draw you in.
Yeah, they do. They don't let you go. You know what I mean? So
I guess visually grabbed him, maybe.
kind of like
And he got wet.
never mind. I'm not gonna say it. Never mind. Things I should and shouldn't say. You guys take your best guess on that.
Yep, for sure.
All right, so let's move on. Where to next here? So Gollum looked up. The dark water was before him. He was crawling on the ground this way and that, doubtful of the way. Yes, they're all around us, he whispered. The tricksy lights, right? So he's telling me he's trying to figure out what to do. We talked about Frodo, what was happening there, so let's move on. Yes, said Gollum. All dead, all rotten, elves and men, orcs, the dead marshes. Great battle years ago, right? Okay. Let's see.
So we've come out of that and we're looking for a path around the lake, and this is where.
So he's going to the right. Is that where he's going around to the right, seeking a path?
Yep.
Okay.
3 precious little golems in a row. We shall be. If this goes on much longer, thought Sam. So they're kind of starting to even have to move like him to get through this. Is what I kind of took away from that, which is interesting to think about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so.
Yeah. So now on we go. He said, "Nice hobbits, brave hobbits." Right. They went on again, but his uneasiness grew, and every now and again he stood up to his full height, craning his neck eastward and southward. For some time, the hobbits could not hear or feel what was troubling him. They suddenly all 3 halted, stiffened, and listened. To Frodo and Sam, it seemed that they heard far away a long, wailing cry, high and thin and cruel. They shivered. At the same moment, the stirring of the air became perceptible to them, and it grew very cold.
Yep.
So is that them hearing,
Yeah.
the unspoken?
Yep.
Wraiths
on wings.
Great. Fantastic. So, and Gollum's upset by that. He knows what that.
And Gollum doesn't forget the sniffing, man. Smells them out, right?
Yeah, he does that. Sure,
Yeah.
he does. Yeah. He does. So he's. Do they take cover here? What does he say here? He's not flying over top. They're not covering right over top of him, right? They roused him with difficulty. For some time, he had not lifted his face, so he's taking cover. He knelt forward on his elbows, covering the back of his head with his large, flat hands, and he's wailing, super upset. So, yeah. It was not until the moon had sunk westward, far beyond Tall Brandir, that he would get up and make a move. So they have to hunker down here for a little bit and really... this really shakes him, which, again, your PTSD, whatever you want to call it. I mean, he's had some encounters with these things that
Yep.
really shaken, more so than the hobbits.
Yep. Oh,
Right?
yeah.
I mean, they're
Yeah.
not. They're kind of like, okay, let's go. Come on, I'm gonna get out of here.
Yep.
So from that time on, Sam thought he sensed a change in Gollum again. He was more fawning and would be friendly, but Sam surprised some strange looks in his eyes at times, especially towards Frodo. So he's keeping a good eye on him and noticing a change here and there, right? So
Yeah.
he said nothing indeed and hardly spoke at all and did not complain, but he walked like one who carried a load, the weight of which is ever increasing, and dragged along slower and slower, so that Sam often began to beg Gollum to wait, not to leave their master behind. Did
Yeah.
you already talk about this?
I had mentioned it, but we hadn't gotten to this part yet.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I just kind of brought it
Sometimes
up.
we jump way ahead, and I think,
These are some really important, probably the two or three of the most important paragraphs in this chapter. You know what I mean? Where it just kind of describes, like you said, how Frodo's beginning to feel. Says nothing, like he's not talking anymore regularly. He hardly spoke at all, and he did not complain, but he walked like one who carries a load. Did you just read that?
yeah. Mhm.
Okay. In fact, every step towards the gates of Mordor, Frodo felt the ring on its chain about his neck grow more burdensome. He was now beginning to feel it as an actual dragging weight, bringing him earthwards. But far more, he was troubled by the eye, so he called it to himself. It was that more than the drag of the ring that made him cower and stoop as he walked. The eye, that horrible growing sense of a hostile will that strove with great power to pierce all shadows of cloud and earth and flesh, and to see you, to pin you under its deadly gaze, naked, immovable, so thin, so frail and thin. The veils were become that still warded it off. Frodo knew just where the present habitation and heart of that will now was. As certainly as a man can tell the direction of the sun with his eyes shut, he was facing it, and its potency beat upon his brow. I mean,
Dude.
full description of our enemy, of his
Yep.
interactions with Frodo, and of what it feels like.
Mhm.
Close your eyes and on a sunny day, and you know where the sun is. That's how Frodo is feeling. Like that's a very thin. It's an eyelid.
Yep.
It's an eyelid away from being discovered, and having that light in your eyes, and that's what he's feeling. That eye is looking at him, and there's almost nothing warding it off anymore.
Yeah. It's a different type of power, isn't it, too? Because,
Yeah.
I think back to where,
Spiritual and mental, man.
Yeah, where the eye almost, saw him. And
Yep.
you have great powers kind of, fighting with the eye
Yeah.
of Sauron to keep it off of Frodo.
Yep.
Gandalf kind of hints at some of that. So,
And he's not thinking about his friends. He's not thinking about the fellowship.
mhm.
Like it's just this is constantly on him because it's like he's taking all of his power to fight this off.
Sure. So Sam gets a little wise and actually finally puts Frodo in front of him
Yep.
to keep a better eye on him and to keep pushing him forward and goes at his pace.
Yeah.
Which is smart, because he's stumbling, he's trying to support him, and they got to watch every step. They're following, Gollum here, and treacherous.
Yep.
So when day came at last, the hobbits were surprised to see how much closer the ominous mountains had already drawn.
So they're kind of passing out of this heart of the darkness and all that.
Yeah. So while the gray light lasted, they cowered under the black stone like worms shrinking, lest the winged terror should pass and spy them with its cruel eyes. Taking cover, dipping and dodging, the DC dip and twirl, it's all going down here.
Word.
Yeah. 2 more nights they struggled on through the weary, pathless land. The air, as it seemed to them, grew harsh and filled with bitter reek. So again, that's just awful.
No improvement there.
You can taste the smell.
And it parched their mouths too. So like even an additional like dryness, and I mean they've got to take care of their water supply now too.
Yeah, this just gets worse and worse, right? So
It does.
before them, dark in the dawn, the great mountains reached up to the roofs of smoke and cloud. You get the broken foothills there underneath all of that. Frodo looked around in horror, dreadful as the dead marshes had been, and the arid moors of the no man lands. More loathsome far was the country that was crawling day Crawling day now slowly unveiled to its shrinking eyes. Sorry, I can't read right now.
It's a lot of words.
So they're just words, as you just just gotta read them. But they're coming to this barren land, this desolate sort of like the way it's described is it's just it's harsh.
Yeah.
Very harsh, leading into
Desolate.
that mountain range.
Yeah.
Around Mordor. So that's upsetting, and there's not a lot of cover. There's not much they can do there, right?
Yeah.
So for a while they stood there like men on the edge of sleep, where nightmare lurks, holding it off, though they know that they can only come to morning through the shadows.
Yeah.
which
Talking
is
about the sunlight
tough.
even being reluctant.
Sure.
And talking about Mordor being the lasting monument to the dark labor of its slaves that should endure when all their purposes were made void. A land defiled, disease beyond all healing, unless the great sea should enter in and wash it with oblivion. I feel sick, said Sam. Frodo did not speak. So just like opposite of the Shire.
Yeah,
Everything's
Complete
dead. Everything's been, but it's very clear that like this land isn't naturally this way. It's been made this way. It's been poisoned. It's been destroyed. It's been corrupted, and like it says, beyond all healing.
Right. Remember how earlier they were talking about how the water was good and clean, and they start to kind of struggle here with like
in the gully.
Yeah, with water, right?
Yeah. They're only taking a few drops at a time.
Man,
because there's none in sight.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's interesting too here because so it even says walking among clouds and long flags of smoke, but even the sunlight was defiled. The hobbits had no welcome for that light. Unfriendly it seemed, revealing them in their helplessness, little squeaking ghosts that wandered among the ash heaps of the Dark Lord. So Tolkien is literally taking anything and everything that previously gave us comfort. He's taking that away.
Right.
Even
they don't want
the sunlight.
They don't want it anymore.
Right. Even the sunlight is defiled and has like a, the implication of being caught and being turned over. And, there have been times before where they've been in rough spots, but there's been something. There's at least like a shade of green over there, or at least there's grass to be found. Or now there's nothing, man. Nothing to give a hobbit comfort, and it's just so dark, so fast.
Yeah.
So fast.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is where things, kind of, I imagine them
come to a head.
Well, and Sam, the way he's walking to, it talks about him being between sleep and waking. Eventually, at some point, they don't even tell us how they really sit down or lay down or whatever. Sam just wakes up.
Yep.
Later on, and they've been resting, and he's laying by Frodo. Frodo's out, and he thought that Smeagol was trying to get after Frodo a little bit. He's kind of startled, but really he overhears a conversation between Smeagol and Gollum.
Yep.
And this is actually goes down a lot like what happens in the film, except for the Baggins bit that they kind of toss in here, where he's still a Baggins, talking about Frodo,
right.
and how a Baggins is the one who stole the precious.
Right.
He found it and he said nothing. We hates Bagginses.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy to think about. He didn't say anything about it, did he? He found it. I mean, how does he know it's Gollum's?
Right. Right.
But he does.
My favorite line is here is
It's a burglar.
yeah. He sees, he knows, he heard us make silly promises against his orders. Yes, must take it. The wraiths are searching. Must take it. Not for him. No, sweet one. See, my precious. If he was it, then we can escape, even from him, eh? Perhaps we grows very strong, stronger than wraiths. Lord Smeagol, Gollum the Great, the Gollum, eat fish every day, 3 times a day, fresh from the sea. Most precious Gollum, must have it. We wants it. We wants it. We wants it. Spoken 3 times. Interesting. Yeah. So yeah, there's this back and forth about why he should take it, why he shouldn't, the risks and the rewards. And
I mean, to be Lord Gollum or to Gollum the Great would be awesome.
I mean, that's the temptation is. I mean, that was the same thing that was getting at Saruman.
Sure.
Was to be the ruler. That's what And it's so interesting that that's how the power works, because that's what Sauron made himself. He made himself a one supreme ruler, and that's how it works through the hearts of those that, that's his will, I guess, imposing on others.
Absolutely. The line that when I started the chapter off with that I was thinking about, that I kept seeing this theme here, was it says a pale light and a green light altered in his eyes as he spoke.
Yeah.
And so as you watch, go back and forth between the two personalities, you get that pale light, which is kind of good Smeagol. And go back and look at the animated. You'll really see the pale light in his eyes, then you'll see they switch it to green. And it's really interesting that they do that in the animated.
Isn't it funny, because neither of those things really seem like vibrant, bright, alive things.
Right.
Pale is a shadow, and green is kind of like decaying and dead. And
well, I think they're kind of close to the middle, right? They're those things that's like, it's not full bright. It's not like you're going full good, full bad. It's sort of like this in-between weird grayish type of.
And it seems to me, it almost kind of seems to like suggest that he'll never return.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
His good side is pale. Like it's not bright.
Yeah.
It's sad. He's just so sad, dude. And I hear him talking to himself like this, and you read this, you're like, oh my gosh.
Right. And so some of the convincing bit is that he says there's two of them, and doesn't want to wake them. Sam suspects him, all that good stuff. Same type of thing we see in the film. So Sam had lain still, fascinated by this debate, but watching every move that Gollum made from under his half-closed eyelids. So that's where I was thinking about. Sam watching him, and Sam pretending to be asleep. Clear back to,
and just amazed at first, right?
Yeah.
He's like, wow, fascinated by this conversation.
Right.
And he kind of plays dumb, right? He wakes up and is like, what's the time?
Right. And actually, I missed a part here, too. So Sam was wondering who she is, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he brings up she.
She might help.
Yes, right.
She might, yes.
Yeah.
No, not that way. Well, it's Smeagol. Yes, we wants it. We wants it. And so he's wondering, who is that he's talking about? So this thought comes to him late.
And he kind of dismisses it, right? Just as, it's just one of his nasty friends he's probably picked up along the way. And, and why would he expect anything? I mean, or suspect anything, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, he wouldn't know. How could you guess that fate unless you knew that area?
Nope.
Nope. Later on, they get some tips about staying away from that area, but they're from, it's from Faramir and his boys who know that area really well. So,
yeah, and that just sort of leads more and more into this is the way in. If it's a secret way, but do you trust Gollum? Who do you trust?
Right.
Frodo and Sam get kind of divided, and
I know.
Okay. So, strangely enough, Frodo felt refreshed. He had been dreaming.
Yeah.
The dark shadow had passed, and a fair vision had visited him. In this land of disease. And I thought that was kind of a cool line, and just that, like, we can be in dark places, and to have something, a thought or a memory or a vision hit you and rejuvenate you. Kind of cool.
You think he felt like he was almost done too? Like it was almost over?
Maybe.
Like he could almost, when you...
Well, who knows what he was dreaming about too.
Right. And like you could almost see the end in sight, kind of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's crazy, because he was he had such good sleep, and what was going on above him when he was sleeping, like that's crazy.
It's crazy. Yep. Yeah. So but he does try to get, now this is where he kind of forces Gollum into like taking them to the gate. And he warns them, they're going to see you, the closer we get, they will see.
Yep.
And that's not good. That's turning over the precious to him, and that's just not something that Gollum is interested in. But he's still bound to his promise, and actually, I think Frodo has to pull out his sword here, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Does he pull out Sting?
He coming up. He does.
I feel like he does. I feel like we read that in the summary, and I just don't know. I can't find it here in front of me. But, anyways, it says, so about an hour after midnight, the fear fell on them a third time, but now seemed more remote, as if it were passing far above the clouds, rushing with terrified speed into the west. Gollum, however, was helpless with terror, and was convinced that they were being hunted, that their approach was known. 3 times, he whimpered. 3 times is a threat. They feel us here. They feel the precious. The precious is their master. We cannot go any further this way. No, it's no use, no use. So he's actually, really trying to. I mean, 3, it's a bad sign.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 3 is company. That's a good thing, but now 3 is definitely not a good thing. So
It can be a source of strength or an ill omen.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So Frodo had commanded him angrily, laid a hand on his sword hilt,
There
and
you
then
go.
that's eventually where Gollum kind of, comes back like a beaten dog. They stumble on through the weary end of the night, and until coming of another day of fear, they walked in silence with bowed heads, seeing nothing and hearing nothing, but the wind hissed in their ears.
Depressing.
Wild.
Depressing, dude. You got any cool connections or anything to draw from?
Yeah, you want to hear my cool connection?
Yeah.
I've been here.
Dead Marshes.
Been there.
Yeah.
Here and there. They're the same.
Yeah.
So, and they weren't, good memories that I have.
No.
I have no cool connections. All right. So, have you ever been in a marsh, though?
I've been in a marsh. I've been in a lagoon. I don't know if I've been in a marsh.
Huh.
Probably not. I'd say probably not.
Yeah, I don't.
I think I'd remember it probably, wouldn't I?
think you would. Yeah.
I don't think I have been in a marsh. I'd
Yeah.
like to go to one.
Okay.
Let's go check it out.
I don't know, man. Water and places where my feet can get stuck, and
Be a wild ride. Let's see if we can make it through.
yeah, I don't know about that.
I just thought it was cool, like the number 3 motif again. We've had the 3 hunters. Now we have the 3. What would you call them? Gollum, Smeagol, and Frodo.
The 3 walkers.
3, half shorties. 3 shouties. 3 walkers. And how it can be a source of like power and strength, but how it can also be a bad omen. You got the hissing lights. You got Gollum with his hissing breathing we've seen, and the hissing of the wind.
Come on.
I think it's also really interesting too how Andy Serkis talked about when he created his interpretation of Gollum, that like he was inspired by his cats, like the noises and some of the
Really?
Yeah, some of the traits and everything. But it's just so funny because Tolkien refers to him being so dog-like. And I wonder if that's not just more in his demeanor than it is like maybe physically he was more like a cat and moved around like a cat, and demeanor-wise he was like a puppy. You know what I mean?
His facial expressions, I kind of feel like he does that twisted, like irritated, like almost like sassy cat type of like.
Yeah. But I wonder if like can being dog-like, is that more easy to interpret as a personality or just as easy as it is physically? I wonder. Yeah. So, that's all I got.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Well, guys, I mean, some cool connections there. We're dead. I mean,
Yeah.
Dead
We're in the
Marshes. This worked out. We actually decided to record this chapter super late so we would be, dead tired. Susie told us not to say that, so you guys wouldn't get all.
Sorry, Susie.
Are you hissing like the wind?
You want to get into Bywater Post?
Let's get into Bywater Post.
I'm gonna pull up this.
I thought you were gonna pull an audible on me and say, you know what, guys,
Set hot.
I know that we said in the table of contents we were gonna do this thing, but
Ready.
we're switching it up here.
No, we're gonna go for it. So
right.
we're just gonna kind of randomly go through and read some of these cool memories from our year 1 of the book club. So Ezra, you want to take one?
Yeah.
Pick one out there, buddy.
Absolutely. So, oh, wow. Me talking about the memories of my mom and Tolkien. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, and that was from Nicole Whitaker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Don't forget the sniffing.
Don't forget that for sure. Yeah, those were. I forgot how much we talked about, our own stories and our personal connection. At the start of this journey, and I think that's one of those things that it sure helped to kind of. I was hoping, anyways, it would be a gateway for other people to kind of feel open and
share their stories,
able to talk about
absolutely
hardships in their life. So let me read another one here.
Yeah, take a couple.
Yeah, so got to say it was the first shout out y'all gave me personally. It really made me feel like I was a part of the real book club.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for the memories.
That's right, Ephraim.
Yeah, I feel like that's from the get go. Again, like we wanted everyone to feel, included, and we want you to hear your names. We want you to hear your comments being read. Again, we've got folks on Discord listening right now. It's just making my heart happy. So it's awesome. Oxman, right? The singing of Tom Bombadil, you guys. The song now it's stuck in my head forever. So
Tom Bombadil, Tom Bombadillo.
Okay.
Crazy, man. Some of these I had totally forgotten about too.
Yeah.
Maddox McBride, great upper, love him, love it all. Makes my commute a short one. It's the personal stories I love most. Me too, Maddox. Maddox is also a rugby player.
Nice.
Nenya business. My favorite memory would be laughing out loud at work when you guys were attacked by bats and Lane was forced to prove his quality.
Wow.
Samantha says it's hard to pick one thing. I'd have to say the Tammy Lane episode because it was so cool hearing all that insider info and hearing you guys fanboy hard. We really did, didn't we?
We really did.
No apologies there for sure. Let's see here. AJ Barnett singing the Bilbo Baggins song.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Bilbo Baggins. Yeah, I bet you tried to wipe that away.
I forgot about that.
Jenny Smith said, my favorite memory is hearing you guys talk about the farmer maggots in your life. That's when I knew this podcast was something special. Wow. Nat Estrada said, my fave was episode 1 when Ez and Lane introduced their first episode. They talked about themselves and their own Tolkien stories. It instantly made me feel at home. I knew I found the right place. They talked about why they loved Lord of the Rings, their families, their beliefs, and their passion for this podcast. That still sticks with me.
Man, Nat, you are all over the group, by the way, and you're someone who...
Nat's tearing it up.
I mean, absolutely love hearing from, so... Rebecca, so I'm a new listener, so I'm not too far in yet, but my favorite moment so far has been the first episode. It was so welcoming and it made me so excited to delve back into Tolkien with people who love it as much as I do.
That's awesome. Good.
Hashtag Frodo lives
Forever.
Matt was talking about, with just the idea that Tammy Lane, that episode, because it was incredible to hear her, the behind the scenes stories. Rowan said, tough choice. Maybe the first episode, the sniffing appeared. Wow. Oh yeah. We'll
never forget it.
That was early on. The moment you realized you guys were teachers too. Wait, the moment I realized you guys were teachers too, I was like, we did? Like that happened? Like I that's hilarious. Oh gosh. I can't even Armstrong. I can't say that username, so I'm sorry. I'm just a terrible person. Singing the Baggins song, yeah, which you just mentioned. I get to read this one. So Sherston said Glorfindel and the strawberries with cream. When you both talked about what kind of a star you would be. Wow. Yeah.
Oh man, I remember that.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I gotta go back and
don't forget the sniffing. So
anyway, a lot of cool stuff. Go check that out. We did have a winner. Joel won the book. He was the random winner. So we're gonna also throw a picture in there and send it his way. So thank you guys, all of you, for your responses. That's something that if we're having a bad day, we'll go back and look at and I don't know, just be filled with good memories.
Yeah.
So you guys are incredible. Thank you for sharing that. We have a real quick strawberries with cream. Our sense of smell came into play a little bit again today as we passed through the marshes. Maybe the most forgotten aspect of the marshes. All right. We've talked about pleasing smells before. Now let's talk about the most festering, putrid smells to which you've ever been privy.
Dude.
I'm gonna lead off, bro. Dude. My farts,
dude.
Last night.
What?
Sarah said she said she was gonna have to evacuate the house. And a lot of times, okay, guys, whatever. I like to fart. Okay, I like to pick and flick, and I like to fart. And a lot of times I can, I smell my own. I'm like, whatever, bro. I mean, putting it out.
Yeah,
putting it out. It's decent. It's decent branding. And last night, even I was like, good Lord, is there a horse in here?
Wow.
Is there a dead skunk under the floorboard?
Seriously, that bad?
I mean, it was making me. Sarah was gagging.
Really?
She said, Lane, I don't want you to think that was a joke. I just literally gagged. I was like, wow. So I was smelling it pretty bad too. Because most bad smells don't bother me. I love cow manure.
Okay.
I love fertilizer.
Okay. Why you call them bad smells then?
Well, quote unquote.
By standard,
come
you
on,
know.
yeah.
All right.
Puke doesn't really bother me that much. It's not a great smell.
Oh man, you guys have got to see the docs, man. This is oh man, that's so. You have to sign up on Patreon, and you have to go look at the docs for strawberries and cream. That's the only spot you need to see. I should just compile all the strawberries and cream.
Strawberries with cream.
Wayne writes my response for me, and it's just this is the funniest thing ever. So,
what is the worst smell you've ever had, bud?
I'm going to start with a smell that some folks think is bad, that I actually like and have a fond memory associated with, which is liver and onions. Some people really do not like that smell. They think it smells bad, liver and onions, and they think it tastes bad. But that was something my mom and grandma ate, and I remember that.
I've never.
You ever had it?
No, I've never had it, but I've never had anything associated with the smell of onions smell bad. I love the way onions smell.
Yeah, well,
the liver's pretty bad,
have you
though.
smelled liver and onions?
No, I haven't.
It's very.
I just told you that.
It's very okay. You said. Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, well, I'm dead. All right, I'm
Hey,
dead.
record that one, guys. I've never heard that before.
I'm dead. All right.
So what is the worst smell? If you like that smell, that's not the worst smell.
Oh man, Okay, the worst one. Okay, you talk about. I think when you smell something and you gag, that's got to be like up there with things that are really
sure. Yeah.
Okay.
So what are we getting at?
This is crazy. I can't believe this is the only one that comes to my mind, and it's literally we were doing some. It was after YMCA basketball. I'm in the car with 5 guys. I'm driving. We're at where the car's moving. The windows are up. The AC is on. We're trying to do what we can. And my buddy Evan, you remember Evan McLeod?
Yep.
I mean, literally, I'm probably gonna have to clip this up and post it on my personal Facebook just to give him a shout out. The worst. I mean, literally just ripped butt like you've never. I mean, it was, and I don't mean like it was that one time. I mean, any time he did.
Yeah, he was notorious.
It was unreal, So
or notorious.
I don't know. I wish there was something else though that was like really.
I'll give you another one.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, dude! Have you ever had like a black undershirt?
Okay.
Or like workout gear. That sweat gets in, and no matter how much you wash it, it just smells sour.
Absolutely.
That's my least favorite, because what I have done before is I've worn that to work, as an undershirt or something, and I've gotten to work and I've started sweating, and I'm like, what in the? It smells like I haven't showered for 3 years.
Yeah, it's
and
bad.
I'm like, I know I have, and other people can smell it.
Oh yeah,
and it's and flies are starting to land on your shoulder, and you're like, I'm throwing the shirt away when I get home.
Yeah.
But then you get home, you put it in the wash, you wash it, doesn't get rid of the smell, and then it's up again in the rotation. You put it back on, you wear it again. You're like, what is it? Dang it, I've got the same shirt on.
Yeah. Yep.
It's hard to throw undershirts away, man. They're not cheap.
No. Here's the thing. So on that note, mine was a hoodie, and it was okay.
Sentimental.
Yeah, I love this hoodie, and I don't know, like it. Yeah, it was one that I did work out in for sure. But
the one you're wearing right now?
No, it's not this one.
Okay.
I would wear it. I don't know. I wouldn't wear it to work to like sweat in a lot. I would just.
But you were sweaty when you were wearing it.
Not a lot though. Here's the thing. Apparently, if you wash clothes and you let them sit in the washer.
Oh yeah, it's a bad move, bud.
Yeah, and then you throw them in the dryer after they've been sitting in the washer after the spin cycle.
Mildew City.
Here's the thing, guys. The Flannel Wizard. I asked a question on Discord earlier. How often does the Flannel Wizard bathe? On average, the response was it biannually? I mean,
that's what I said.
That's what you said. I think everybody agreed with you.
Wow.
So, anyways, I'm like, I wore this hoodie. I just pulled it out real quick, late to school on a Friday, rolling in there, and thank goodness my department, my office mate, Karen, I walked by and I was like, Karen, you smell something in here?
You smell that?
Is it me or is it the kids? I mean, typically it's the kids, but what's going on? And I smelled my shirt. I took it off. I took it off, and I was like, it's definitely this. It's my hoodie. And she went through, all these different questions, and she was like,
dude.
She's like, when did you put it in the dryer? How long was it in the washer? And I was like, really? It's clean.
Yeah.
I'm just an idiot, guys. I had no idea.
No, it's.
I even
not your fault,
rewashed
man.
it. I even rewashed it,
and it still smelled bad.
It's terrible. I had to throw it out.
It gets locked in.
It's locked in there,
It gets
man.
locked in. You have to like.
Speak a word of command to get it out.
I think you have to scorch it over fire.
Wow.
I think you do.
Would smoke get it out?
Would smoke replace it? Smoke's pretty penetrative too.
Yeah,
I like
saying.
it.
You smoke out the smell?
Did you get rid of it?
I could see that happening.
Did you get rid of that
being
hoodie?
a thing. I did. We should have tried it.
Man, we could have tried it. We could have done
I'm
some
willing to
incantations.
buy a hoodie just to give it a go.
See, I can't really create that sweat on command. Is this turning into appendices? All right.
Yeah, you're right. Probably is.
I was just gonna say I can't create that level, that putricity
can.
of sweat on command.
I can. Just ask me to get up and do something with the equipment and stress me out for
but
2
I think
seconds.
it's partially the black fabric too. All right. You want to share the load? Can we share the load?
Yeah, let's share a load.
All right.
We love you guys. Thank
Yep,
you for
love you
all
guys.
the Bywater Post stories. We're gonna get back with those next week.
Absolutely.
We have a bunch of those.
Snowed under.
Shout outs at the beginning of the show, to all of our patrons. We do
Yes.
that each week. So if you would like one of those, sign up on any tier there, and we just kind of first come, first serve. Have been going through those. Unless you're on Discord, then you know the secret. So, head over to patreon.com/uptalkingtolkien. I actually have 3 patron profiles uploaded there. One was posted here in January. We'll have one for February, one for March, but they're all edited. They're actually posted and ready to go for like the first of each month, which will be nice.
We'll have a Gabbing with Goldberry next week too.
Yeah, we'll have a couple of those things as well. So we'll see. We've got a lot more things to kind of come. We're going to get some recordings down in Texas, which should be fun. So look forward to the newsletter. We're changing that up a little bit. Again, thanks to Jen Shepard for being our editor there. She'll be reaching out to some of our patrons. So if you want involved in that, letter to the editor, whatever you want to do. I mean, there's some options. That's gonna. I mean, right? That'd be kind of funny. So what else is going on? Oh, the Kickstarter. Guys, if we could get, seriously, we're talking like your seconds and your third cousins. We're talking the Boffers and the
Boffins, the Baggins, the Biggins,
the big feet, the
Boffins,
small
Bulgers,
feet, all of them,
Bridgers.
Man. Hit them up because we want to make the studio absolutely sick.
Yeah.
And we haven't got the quote yet to really add in the stretch goals. Well, maybe we will have by the time this is posted.
True.
Probably will have.
True.
And we'll get some of those posted up. So if you've already contributed and you just want to go back and check the updates, that'd be cool. We're going to post some pictures, maybe post another video, do some kind of fun stuff there to keep people interested and keep it on your minds, just because the more help we get there, the better it's going to be. And we can do it faster.
Sure. Yeah.
We can get it done before baby number 2 shows up. And go from there. So bunch of stuff. I didn't even list it all. There's more stuff there that we'll be diving into. So yeah, hit us up there at patreon.com/uptalkingtolkien. And yeah, also if you want to send us anything, right? Can we still do this?
Sure.
Send it to the Shire, P.O. Box 96, Amanda, Ohio 43102.
Boom. Time for some weekly well wishes, formerly fortnight farewells. We want to thank you for, getting bogged down with us.
Dude, I'm done. I'm dead. I'm dead over here. My kids say that all the time, by the way.
But in our next episode, we'll be stopped short as we encounter Chapter 3. The Black Gate is closed.
Okay, so if we want to open it up, we're going to have to check in the next chapter. If you like our podcast, don't forget to subscribe, like us, write a review, leave a comment, or send us a shadow fax.
We'll see you in a Hobbit fortnight, and remember, Frodo lives.
They're never getting that Black Gate open, man.
It's so shut, it can't be opened.
They got to go a different way.